Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the MotoAlliance podcast. I'm Peter Kapsner here with Kevin Book. And Kevin, we had a chance here recently to talk with Kurt Driemeyer, and I'll tell you what, this podcast went off the rails, did it not?
Absolutely. It was a highlight so far of the recordings that we've done. So.
Yeah, I mean, because we lost him for a little while because his phone overheated.
Yep.
And then he threw his wife under the bus at one point.
Completely.
What was because at one point she was leaving, right?
Well, there were neighbors that were outside getting ready to go, and he came out and like pretty much just advertised that he was currently recording a podcast and that he wanted the world to know that he is always taking care of the kids while his wife goes off and travels. And
it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Awesome.
Unlike the semi-tight ones we tend to do, where the guest kind of stays on track, Kurt was all over the place. It was brilliant. So Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoy this upcoming episode of the MotoAlliance podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the MotoAlliance podcast. I am Peter Kapsner here with Kevin Book, the general manager of MotoAlliance, who clearly has a better set of pipes than I do. Kevin, I'm still so jealous of you. Do you put that voice on, or is that your actual like daily voice?
I'm not trying.
You're not trying?
I'm not trying. This is just my daily interaction voice.
Yes. Yeah, it drives me absolutely wild. Yeah. But we're here with our buddy Kurt Driemeyer is how we're going to say his name, right? I mean, it's probably Driemeyer, but in talking to him beforehand, he informed us that Driemeyer is probably the better way to say it.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Great to have you on. You're with Offroad Body Armor. You've been a longtime partner with us here at MotoAlliance. We've loved working with you. And I think among the most impressive things we know about you is that prior to this podcast, you just went right to the bourbon bottle and took a shot just to get ready here. So what kind of bourbon were you into? Was it rye? Was it what brand?
It was actually no clue the brand, to be honest. It was like a coffee type bourbon. It was a kind of new on the market, a coffee bourbon type.
All right.
I don't even know. I'm not really a coffee drinker, to be honest. I'm high on life at all times, but sometimes you need a bourbon to chill you out. It's been a long day. My 3 kids are home from school. My wife has been in and out. So, I've been yelling at my kids all day, trying to work. And, needed to have a little something to chill me out, and what better to do it with a glass of bourbon.
I think that is spot on idea to the extent that I might run up and grab a little shot of bourbon myself in a second, K-Book. And you think I'm kidding, but you're going to run this podcast for about 2 minutes while I go upstairs. But before I do, Kurt, the last time we tried to connect, you got caught up because you were busy. I think you were doing some horse trading with somebody where they were giving you something and you're putting on players' doors, or what was going on?
Yeah. So I found a truck that I really liked. It was a Raptor clone F-150, found it over the next state over in Illinois. And I'm sitting there and, obviously I got my truck that I'm trading in. It's got off-road armor all over it. And they're like, man, the owner of the place, my age, and actually the sales rep I played baseball against in college. So we hit it off, all 3 of us. And he's like, you know what, man, I've been on your website. I'm really interested in those doors that you sell for my Polaris Ranger. And I said, well, you know what? You're really not giving me what I want for my trade-in. Why don't you add it to the trade-in, and I'll have to pay less tax and, blah, blah, blah. I probably shouldn't say that on air. Now I'm going to get in trouble by the Department of Revenue. But anyways.
Huge listeners of ours, by the way.
Yeah, they are. They are. They've been following for a while.
Yeah. So anyways, he said, you know what? Absolutely. I'll add the amount to your trade-in, and you come out and install them. So he had the most amazing garage. And I'll tell you what, I love – I'm going to backtrack it here. My family has a Can-Am dealership, and everybody brings their machines to my dad, and they sit there for a month while he works on them, gets parts in. Well, I've taken a different step, and I've said, hey, you need a set of doors. They're 6 to 8 weeks. Keep your machine, and I'll come to you to install them. So I went to his house. I installed them. Me and two guys that work for me. One's my cousin who's a mechanic. And the other one is my best friend from high school who works for me in the shipping department. And he's actually a jack of all trades. He does everything for me. And so we go over to his house, and he's got like a batting cage in his garage. So I'm taking some hacks because I played college baseball. And my brother, who worked for me for a time, actually went and played for the Texas Rangers. But I tell you what, we'll get into that right now. He played for the Texas Rangers, but he didn't have much of a work ethic. Love you to death, brother, but he didn't have. God's gift gave him 97 miles an hour, but he didn't know how to work. So
So what was
So
your
that didn't
brother's name? So he played for the Rangers. You said it was your brother.
Yeah, so it was my half brother.
Yep.
Played Justin Springer's his name.
I see him right here. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so he was in Double A, got brought up in spring training, played with him. They said, "Hey, we're going to get a spot for you," but he unfortunately got the yips. So he got sent back down, couldn't throw the ball over the plate, and unfortunately got released. You know, like many, it's a tough road to go down. You know,
It is. I was a D2 baseball player for just a little bit, so not anywhere near as accomplished as what you guys are talking about. Where did you play in school?
I was D2 as well at University of Missouri St. Louis.
Nice.
Did you play them?
I was at Mankato State University, but I was born sometime in about 1840. So baseball was just getting started back then. It's not like you, Kurt.
Well, yeah, it was a great time. You know, I attribute a lot of my success to my baseball coaches, and including this, my D2 baseball coach, my junior college baseball coach. I could talk. We would need a full case of beer and a couple bottles of bourbon for that conversation. But, I actually train. I've got 3 boys, 7, 5, and 2. Wow. And I am their baseball coaches as well. You know, I coach teams but I'm very military-like. I want them to be the most well-behaved kid in the room, which is absolutely impossible to do. Especially my kids.
Especially those ages too, 7, 5, and 2.
It's hard. It's very hard. And then trying to run a business. And thank God I've got a wonderful wife who I met at UMSL as well, and she stays home with the kids most of the time. And but yeah. Hey, my stories will lead off down these paths where I have no clue where we started from, so you're going to have to bring me back in here. What were we talking about?
It's the best kind of story. K-Book's going to bring it in because I am going to slip off these headphones now and go and grab a little Woodford Reserve, I think, just a little fingerful of this. K-Book, are you going to have any bourbon, or are you not?
No, I'm good.
You're good
Thank
today?
you.
All right,
Yeah.
Kurt, you can't drink alone, buddy. I'm not going to let you do that, so I'll be right back.
Perfect.
So, Kurt, tell our listeners where you are right now. I think if I remember right, it's Marthasville, Missouri. Yeah.
Well, so I live about a half an hour north of Marthasville, but Offroad Armor is located in a little town of Marthasville, Missouri.
Okay.
1,000 people, and it's a one-horse town. I mean, no stoplights even.
So and, give me an idea in relation to Sykeston. Where is Marthasville?
Sykeston is about 2 hours south of Marthasville.
So my dad was born and raised in Bell City, which is just outside of Sykeston, I guess. The last time I was at my grandparents' farm was probably when I was 6 or something. And he grew up in Missouri, and I would visit when I was a kid, but that was about the extent of my visits to Missouri. So have you born and raised? Yeah, born and raised in a little town of Marthasville, and they don't call me the mayor for nothing. I like to talk. So, it's in life, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So if you talk to a lot of people, you can get pretty far. And you grew up in it sounds like with your dad's dealerships or the Can-Am dealership that he has. Is this always been a part of your life? Yeah. Ever since I can remember, I think I was racing motocross. My dad would wake me up, 7 years old. I'd be so nervous and so sick to my stomach the entire ride there, and then getting my pants on and getting the helmet on, and it's 100 degrees out, and you're like, Dad, it's too hot out. I don't care. Get back out there, Oh, hilarious.
And then as soon as you rip the throttle, then it's just game over. You don't think from there on out, and then you just let adrenaline run your life for the next 15 minutes. So if it's been a part of your life for as long as it has, what are you currently most excited about when it comes to what's happening in the industry? What kind of equipment is out there to really, appeal to the enthusiast that you are, that has been in it his entire life? What's really getting your attention? And as you answer that question, Kurt, the little tinkle you can hear in the background here right now, that's the ice in my little finger full of bourbon there. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. So the industry's obviously over the last 5 years has just absolutely blown up. And I was very fortunate. I started Off-Road Body Armor and then changed the name right before COVID hit to Off-Road Armor. And so I got extremely lucky when I quit my job and started working for myself again right before COVID started. And it's just absolutely blown up. I couldn't have picked a better opportunity, a better time and opportunity to quit my job and do off-road armor. Honestly, as far as the industry goes, it's amazing what we're seeing. Like the Polaris come out with the Pro R. That is an extremely, in fact, we have our own race series called the Off-Road Armor Cross Country Series. Excuse me. And so I had a guy come down and race in our series, and he ran a bone stock Pro R and dominated everybody. And he said it. I'm gonna have to get more bourbon, I think. So he said it was like the Cadillac of side by sides. I mean, he was ripping through the trails down here in Missouri in Mark Twain Forest, and he said it was just like nothing other. But Can-Am has got something coming out real soon that's going to match that. So again, I came from the car industry. I worked for Ford and Lincoln, and Ford had the Shelbys and the Cobras, and it was like every year Ford would come out with 500 horse, Dodge would come out with 550 horse, Chevrolet would come out the Vet with 600, and every year it was like they added 50 horsepower. And you're starting to see the side by side industry do that now. And but what's funny is 90% of what off-road armor sells is not even for the sport machines, is more for the utility machines. And you guys just seen the Polaris Ranger come out with that looks like a truck.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible what they're doing with this industry. I'm excited to be a part of it.
What do you see? And maybe you can't say because you're getting some advanced information from Can-Am, but it's intriguing what you're talking about. We did some work with them, at least talked back and forth about 10 years ago at the OEM level. And I was so impressed with Can-Am at that time. And they were making an impact roughly the same time that Polaris was going through a few struggles with some of the fires and the lawsuits that they were going through. Polaris seems to have righted that ship, obviously, but Can-Am is an impressive company, and you're saying they're coming out with something new. Can you give us any inside take on what it is, or does it have to stay hush hush?
I can't. I don't know, actually. I know
you don't. Okay. So this isn't a matter of principle. It's a lack of knowledge.
Yeah. I know they're coming out with something, but I don't know what it is. They've already come to the table and said, they had like a picture of a couple headlights. That was it, sure. Right? So no, I even with my family being having a Can-Am dealership. By the way, we call that a PhD that I have. Papa has a dealership.
It's way better than mine.
So, anyways, I tell everybody I tried to work for my dad out of college, and I don't know if you've seen Orange County Choppers, Paul Jr. and Paul Sr. Well, that was a direct reflection of my father and I. We were cutthroat. We were firing each other every single day. I would like change the internet icon. I'd move it to the right side of the screen instead of where it was. And he'd freak out for half the day because he couldn't get on the internet. Anyways, so I tell everybody, when they ask me, they're like, "What made you really take the leap to start your own business?" I honestly, one of the truths is that I got tired of my dad firing me all the time. But our relationship's a lot better now, obviously, that I don't work for him. It's really hard to work for your family. My uncle is there too, and my aunt, my cousin, and so all of our relationships are a lot better. I mean, these Missouri summer days can get 100 degrees, and it plays a huge impact on your attitude.
Seriously.
But anyways, yeah. So realistically, what made me start off-road armor was when I was in car sales. Like I was just mentioning, I was in car sales for about 5 years prior to starting my business. And, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we would try to have a date. Every week we'd try to have a date, but then a customer would come in at, 8:00 when I was supposed to leave. And I'd be like, "Hey babe, listen, this is our livelihood. I got to stay here and sell this car. This is how we make our money." So we never could have any date. And then we had our first child, and it was like, there's got to be something more. no offense to people who, I mean, there's a lot of good money in car sales, but that is your, I say that is your life, but hey, now that I got a business I work more hours now. Right.
Sure.
So,
But it's
I'm
different
sure
when
you
you're
guys
working
know
for
that.
yourself, right? I mean, when it's
Yeah.
when it's you and in this community, it's such an incredible community to be part of.
Yeah, it really is. I was just mentioning that to a guy on the phone today. The off-road industry is a massive industry, but it is so small when you really start connecting the dots. And we all have so many friends in common. And I tell so many people this because I take a lot of phone calls throughout the day as well with my sales guy. And I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, I'm not here to make a killing off of you. I just got to keep the lights on. And plus, I don't want to treat you wrong because I know I'm going to see you out on the trail and we're going to be having a beer one of these days together. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're in Utah or Nevada or New York. I'm probably going to end up being on the trails with you at some point, and we're going to be having a beer, and I do not want you to not like me. So I try to treat everybody with the utmost respect. Well, the respect that I would want,
That's so great. And that's, I mean, this is our first time really being able to chat and to meet each other. I've been with MotoAlliance since January of this year and have had no prior experience to anything off-road. I mean, this has never been a part of my life in any fashion. So, but one thing I can say is just in meeting the folks that are a part of my day-to-day and the interactions that we have with our customer base, that is absolutely a true sentiment across the country, that no matter where you are, they recognize the power of the tight-knit aspect of that community within that state. And so it's so cool to hear you just even recognize that as a business owner, that you pay the respects to the customers and to even those who you're doing business alongside of, because you're going to rub shoulders with each other on the weekends when you're a part of these rides and things like that. I'm just curious from your perspective, being that I don't have a ton of knowledge of the history of your relationship with MotoAlliance. How did that get started? What was, how did you get connected with Peter? What has MotoAlliance been for you and your business over the years?
It has been absolutely amazing. Starting out with Dick, who is he still part of the business?
Yep. He's still one of our two main dealer people for sure. I know you work with Jake all the time now, but Dick is still there.
Oh yeah, everybody that I've worked with at MotoAlliance has been tremendous. I'll tell you how I got started. Actually, it's pretty crazy, and I'll start from the beginning. So, actually, the way I got started was I started making some products for Kimco, and it's a Quang Yang Motor Company, right? That's what Kimco stands for. And we were a Kimco dealer, and I started making. Well, my dad was like, "Hey, nobody makes accessories for these things. You ought to make some bumpers and some tree kickers and stuff for them." I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. So that's actually how I got my start in this industry, was building accessories for Kimco. And sure enough, a guy out of New Zealand found my products, and he said, "Hey, I'd like to put your products on my website." And his website was Pacific Eagle UTV.
Is this Mike Pope?
This is Mike Pope.
You're kidding. I did not know you had the connections with Mike. That's when you said New Zealand, that's where my mind went immediately.
Yeah, and once again, we're all connected, whether you know it or not.
We definitely are.
So Mike hits me up and says, "Hey, I'd like to put your accessories on my website." And I'm like, "Oh man, this is what I've been living for. This is why I spent hours upon hours of kicking my manufacturers on the floor of their garage while they're welding because they had passed out from being drunk the night before. I had to always go out there and kick them and wake them up because they would be like welding under their Jeeps or whatever. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Mike, actually about 6 months later was like, our time zone is so different. I'm missing a lot of calls. Why don't you be my U.S. sales rep? And I said, done. And at this time I was in the salvage industry. I was selling used auto parts, engines, transmissions, to body shops and repair shops. And I was double dipping. I would go from a shop and I'd take a phone call, go to another shop, take a phone call, or call the one back that I missed as I'm driving to the next shop. And I hope my other boss doesn't hear me say that, but I think he probably knew anyways.
So far, we have past bosses and the feds that could be after you on this podcast. So, okay, continue. This is great.
Yeah, no problem. So then after doing that for a couple of years, I was like, Mike, why don't I just create my own website? I'll refer people to my website, and I'll just give you a quarterly cut of the sales. That way I don't have to, because I tell you what, I was going at home at night. I was making the PayPal invoice. I was sending it over to the customer. I'd call them, say, hey, the invoice is ready for you to pay. They'd take 3 days to pay it. Then I would submit the order to the manufacturer. It was a disaster. You know what? I did not build my business on 24 hours a day. I built it on 30 hours a day. Like I'd work. I tell everybody, I'm like, if you want to create a successful business, you don't work 7 days a week. You work 10 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sleep. And so there was many a times where I didn't get much sleep. And then I had my first kid, and I would add so many products while feeding my kid at 3 a.m. in the morning. It was hilarious. I just was like, Elliot, my wife, I was just like, I'll take care of it, and I'd feed him. But so Mike and I have a very strong relationship, and he was the one that turned me on to MotoAlliance.
Wow. That's great.
Yep.
I don't know who this Mike person is, but I'll get more history from Peter.
It's funny. It feels like yesterday. I remember all these conversations now. I had forgotten that you had been hooked up with Mike, but he's an equally great guy. And buddy, have you ever been down to New Zealand? Because that is bucket list number one for me right now.
I need to go so bad.
Right?
Is he still there?
Yeah. He lives there full time. He's from there, lives there. In fact, they just had a really bad flood, I think, a couple months ago, and they all pretty much had to evacuate their houses down there. It unheard of that his part of the country got flooded. Which part that is, I can't really remember, but I know that
because you haven't been there, right? You were saying you have, but that's super high on bucket list stuff, right?
I have not been there. No, amazing. I mean, you have to fly to Hawaii first.
Yep.
And do a layover in Hawaii because it's a 24-hour plane flight, you know?
So, man, I just saw, and I'm pretty sure out of Chicago and out of Dallas, they now have a different route, and it's nonstop from there to New Zealand. I better check this out, but I'm pretty sure my facts are right on that. While you're commenting on that, I'll look that up. Hang on just a minute.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not a good flyer. I can't, 10 hours was hold on, guys. I got to tell you, the neighbors are getting ready to head out. I'm looking at my neighbors here, and they're all going to Morgan Wallen, and my wife's getting ready to head out with them. So, hey, once again, I'm going to be staying at home with my kids. Hey, I'm on a podcast right now. I'm letting the whole world know that I always take care of the kids, and my wife goes out and parties all the time. So,
we can verify that.
Podcaster. So, anyways, I hope you got good. In my subdivision, everybody's got 3 kids, including myself, and we all get along so great. So it's pretty awesome.
Does the house come with 3 kids? Is that like one of the options? You get granite countertops and 3 kids?
It literally does. That's hilarious. My neighbors have 3 boys and 1 girl. My other neighbor on the other side, 3 boys. Across the street, 3 boys. I mean, it's incredible.
That's
phenomenal. And Kurt, I can verify Chicago to Auckland, New Zealand, nonstop, 17 hours and 25 minutes. You're saying that you can't handle 2 hours down to Florida, or how does this land on you?
10 hours. I can't. 10 hours was crazy for me to where my wife and I in Mount Tibidabo. What was that? Shoot, I'm sorry, I can't remember. What country was that? It was Barcelona, Spain. So Barcelona, Spain is where we flew into, and it was one of the best trips I'd ever taken in my life. We went on a cruise, 7-day cruise from Barcelona, Spain, and then hit up all the stops in the Mediterranean. Absolutely incredible if you ever get a chance. I'm back.
All right. Solid.
So welcome to Missouri. My phone got overheated while I was outside.
That's amazing.
I've never had that happen.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's got overheated sitting there, but not while I was on the phone. So that's crazy.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Anyway, hey, while I'm here, you can check out something I'm really proud of. This is Travis Pastrana's jersey from 2000.
No way.
Sign it.
How did you get that?
Hey, man, you should have been up in Elk River. Remember, you guys were
I
supposed to come
do.
up?
Don't throw me under the bus. I know.
Man.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, that's where I got that. The guy who sponsor is Travis's teammate, and so while I was up in Minnesota at Elk River,
right.
got him to sign this picture too. And obviously, Travis is like my childhood idol. And matter of fact, we got a chance to chug a beer together down there in Jay, Oklahoma, a few weeks ago at the Nitro Cross and the Mid America Outdoors event, and it was pretty crazy. Hanging out with the whole Nitro Circus crew was a dream come true.
That's amazing. Honestly, that would be amazing. Are they still running some different events that we can do this again sometime?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I'm sure they'll be back up at ERX Motor Park.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously I'll be letting you guys know. It was to die for. I mean, just being able to, rub shoulders, go to the bar. I mean, I know Travis was like, he was playing big buck hunter, and he was telling everybody, he's like, I'll bet anybody $1,000. If you beat me, I'll pay you $1,000. If I beat you, you owe me $1. So,
No.
Yeah, so he never lost.
That's hilarious.
That's an amazing story.
So not only is the guy one of the best, is the next Evel Knievel, which rest in peace, Evel Knievel's son. We lost two greats this year. We lost Evel Knievel's son, and we lost Ken Block. So that was another lady who I was hanging out with his wife, chatting about how they came to Missouri, and it was like 3 degrees at the 100 Acre Woods Rally this past year. And you know what? It's a testament to the off-road industry, and I know we're limited on time here, but Leah Block, Ken's daughter, and the wife, and Rihanna and Gelsomino, I can't say her name, but they were all out signing autographs in 3-degree weather, and the wind chill was like -20 down here. And you guys know how that is up there. We're not really used to that up here, in the Midwest. But they were all signing autographs, and the off-road industry would do anything for anybody, realistically. I mean, if you don't have any teeth, don't matter. I'm signing your hat, So it's pretty awesome.
That's so cool.
I love it. Well, we're just about ready to wrap up this part of this, Kurt, and it sounds like you got to get to your kids anyway. So what are you going to be doing the rest of the summer? I know the time is not quite as busy in terms of sales and people pounding the doors during July and August here in the off-road industry, but it certainly picks up mid-August again. How are you going to spend the next few weeks in the community?
Yes. So we are actually, this weekend, we have a place at the Lake of the Ozarks. So we will be spending time at the Lake of the Ozarks with the whole family. And you know what? My Can-Am Defender ain't running right. I think I'm having some fuel issues. And my race machine, my Can-Am Maverick, one of my employees totaled it last weekend at our race.
Oh my goodness.
So I can't drive that. So right now I have no machine to drive, which is actually pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. It actually gives me an excuse not to go off-roading, and I can spend some time with my family now. So I'm not upset about it, to be honest.
That's great. Well, dude, you're the best. I know we're going to do this again. You got a gazillion stories we want to keep tapping into, but it's been so fun to just hang in the community with you all these years.
Yeah. It's absolutely been a pleasure with you guys as well.
All right. We'll catch up soon. K-Book, super fun.
Great to meet you. Looking forward to future conversations.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Anytime, guys.
Love it. Thanks for listening to the MotoAlliance podcast, everybody. We'll catch you again next time.